Hi, Alicia. Good afternoon. An important week that could have implications for the next 40 or so years. Republicans' main goal, transform Judge Amy Coney Barrett into Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett as soon as possible. Now, Judge Barrett, if confirmed, would be the fifth woman to serve on the high court. The president says he hopes and expects her to be on the bench by Election Day. Now, the hearing, as you said, begins tomorrow morning. Expect several topics to be discussed. Some of those: abortion, gun rights, immigration, and health care. Mainly health care. Democrats are going to focus on this issue and Barrett's views. Now, Barrett's views on the Affordable Care Act, they are well known, Alicia. She is no fan, and that worries many Democrats. They say Republicans just want to get rid of the ACA in the middle of this pandemic. Listen.
She would vote to strike down the ACA and protections for millions of Americans and overturn Roe, protections for women. So a vote for Judge Barrett is very simple. It's a vote to take health care away from 20 million Americans.
Meanwhile, Republicans argue that the president has every right to appoint a Supreme Court justice while he's serving as the president.
When she puts on her black robe in the morning, she knows what it is to be a judge, and that is to cloak your personal preferences. Our judges don't wear red or blue jerseys. They don't advocate for policy positions.
Fox News obtained a copy of her opening statement. I want to read part of it. It says, quote, "But courts are not designed to solve every problem or right every wrong in our public life. The policy decisions and value judgments of government must be made by the political branches, elected by and accountable to the people. The public should not expect courts to do so, and courts should not try," end quote. On the issue of health care, a big one, 1 week after the election, just 1 week, the Supreme Court will hear arguments over the merits of the ACA. And Alicia, it's possible that we could see a Justice Barrett sitting on the bench there. Alicia?
It's going to be some week, that's for sure. David Spunt, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And it's going to be a very busy week for the two ladies we're going to talk to now. Bring in the president of the Constitutional Accountability Center, Elizabeth Wydra, senior counsel at the First Liberty Institute, Stephanie Taub. We appreciate both of you being here. Elizabeth, we understand that Democrats have basically agreed that there's not much that can be done to stop this procedurally. We've seen this argument from Chuck Schumer: you're going to lose your health care and Roe will be overturned if Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed. Is that the best line of attack?
Well, I think that, first and foremost, there is the issue of whether this vacancy should be filled right now at all. And while it does seem as if the Judiciary Committee hearings will be going on, the fact remains that a majority of Americans want the next president to fill this vacancy after the election that's already going on. Millions of ballots have already been cast in early voting states, and especially in the middle of a pandemic that is still out of control, and small businesses and those who are unemployed are still looking for relief.
Supreme Court justices aren't supposed to be confirmed, though, based on a poll about when Americans think they should be confirmed. It's, are you qualified, or are you qualified or not?
Yes, but see, the thing is that the Constitution says that the Senate has the advice and consent role. And the Senate, looking at the fact that an election is going on right now, and the fact that the American people see the legitimacy of the courts at stake, should give their advice back to the president and say,
I'm not sure
right now.
I don't know, the legitimacy question, I'm not sure how the legitimacy is at stake. But Stephanie, is it worth Republicans trying to have the conversation, or would it be better just to not even bother with the hearing and just have the vote, because it seems as though the nose count's already done?
Well, the Senate is on track to confirm Amy Coney Barrett by the end of the month. And if you look at the timing, if you look at the first two women to be appointed to the Supreme Court, they're a similar time frame.
The timing argument, though, the timing's been rehashed so many times, Stephanie. This would be the question, though. It doesn't seem as though the hearings really matter to either side. Elizabeth weighed in that I don't think there's anything that Amy Coney Barrett could say that's going to get a Democrat to vote for her. And it appears as though there's not going to be anything that at least we've heard in terms of a substantive question from the members of the judiciary on the Republican side, that they're really looking to figure out whether or not they will or will not vote for Amy Coney Barrett. Foregone conclusion, right?
The proper role of the Senate Judiciary hearing is to ask questions of these candidates about their judicial philosophy and their judicial record. And so one thing we're going to be looking at First Liberty Institute is whether the Senate Democrats are going to be asking improper questions, such as questions about her religious faith, which the majority of Americans, the overwhelming majority of Americans, 2/3, oppose these sorts of religious questions and posing this sort of a religious
so the big part of this hearing is
no one's going to ask questions like that. No one is going to ask questions like that. We don't care about her faith.
Well,
I don't care about her faith. I care about what she thinks about the Constitution.
Elizabeth, it was Dianne Feinstein who asked direct questions about it and then said the dogma lives loudly inside of her. It's not really a far stretch to think that might come up, is it?
No one is talking about that right now except conservatives. To be honest, I think it's a distraction.
Elizabeth, they're talking about it. Elizabeth, they're talking about it because Dianne Feinstein brought it up. I mean,
years ago. No one's talking about it right now. The fact is that the American people don't want someone on the bench who will overturn Roe and will get rid of protections for pre-existing conditions. And so this distraction is not the most important thing to be talking about right now. But I agree with Stephanie that hearings are important because we do need to look at the record. The American people need to know who is going to be put on the bench for this lifetime appointment.
And Judge Barrett has confirmed again and again that she is a committed textualist, a committed originalist, and she will be dedicated to upholding the Constitution.
Well, as we can see, I don't think we've changed either side's mind here in this. But as we move on to what this has brought up is this debate about quote-unquote court packing. The Democrats seem to want to define court packing as filling the vacancy that is there. In normal times, and even Democrats during the primary define it as adding seats to the Supreme Court. There's a big difference. But Joe Biden doesn't seem to be wanting to talk about even the definition he used. Take a listen.
Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know where he stands?
No, they don't. I'm not going to play his game. He'd love me to talk about, and I've already said something on court pack. He'd love that to be the discussion instead of what he's doing now. He's about to make a pick in the middle of an election, first time it's ever been done.
Boy, Elizabeth, playing hide the ball with how you think about a really serious issue?
So, I think he has a point that the conversation to be having right now is about what's going to be happening tomorrow, which is these hearings to put on someone on the bench for a lifetime appointment. Yeah, but if you want to talk about the court expansion, look, I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying we need to see with how this nomination goes forward, how the American people feel about it, because you questioned my saying that legitimacy, no, let me finish. You questioned me saying that the legitimacy of the court was on the line, but the fact is that the court's constitutional role depends on public faith in it. And if the people see a rush through nomination and have a crisis of confidence in the court, then expanding the number of justices might be appropriate.
Well, if you're talking about undermining, you're talking about undermining one of the three branches of government.
Well,
if you're talking,
ladies, I got to run, but Elizabeth, give you credit. You answered the question that the former vice president would not. Appreciate it, ladies. A lot of airtime coming up for both of you this week. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Alicia.